Imagine logging into your favorite online game after a long day of bossing around your neighbors, only to find your virtual buddy crossing into real life in the most terrifying way. That's exactly what happened to Karen Thompson, a married woman in her mid-40s who thought she ruled her suburban cul-de-sac like a queen. But oh boy, was she wrong. Her online gaming pal turned stalker, exposing her nasty HOA antics and delivering a dose of karma that hit harder than a freight train. Karen let out a heavy sigh as she sank into her ergonomic chair in the dimly lit home office, the scent of her lavender candle mingling with the faint aroma of her husband's leftover barbecue from dinner. Click. Click, the keyboard echoed softly in the quiet house, pulling her into the virtual world of Realm Warriors, where she escaped the drudgery of her daily life. Finally. Some peace, she muttered to herself, her fingers flying across the keys. But peace? Ha! Little did she know, this escape was about to become her nightmare. It started innocently enough. Karen, the self-appointed enforcer of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, spent her days nitpicking her neighbors' lawns, mailboxes, and even the color of their holiday decorations. Rules are rules, she'd bark at poor old Mr. Jenkins next door, whose slightly overgrown grass earned him a hefty fine. Her husband, Tom, a mild-mannered accountant, would just shake his head and retreat to the garage, tinkering with his model trains to avoid her tirades. But online, Karen was Queenslayer 42, a fierce warrior who teamed up with Shadowhunter 88 for epic quests. Their chats were lighthearted at first, jokes about boss fights, shared strategies, and the occasional vent about annoying people in real life. Shadowhunter seemed charming, understanding, even flirty in a harmless way. "You're the best partner I've had," he'd type, making Karen blush behind her screen. Who wouldn't enjoy a little ego boost after a day of HOA battles? Weeks turned into months, and the friendship deepened. Karen shared snippets of her life, nothing too personal. Or so she thought. "My neighbors are driving me crazy with their tacky yard gnomes," she'd complain during a late-night raid. Shadowhunter would laugh, those digital LOLs popping up like fireworks, and offer sympathy. "Sounds like they need a queen to set them straight," he'd reply. The thrill of it all made her heart race. It was like having a secret admirer who got her frustrations. But then, the messages started slipping offline. One evening, as the sun dipped low casting long shadows across the manicured lawns of Willow Creek, Karen's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Hey Queenslayer. Loved our game tonight. Can't wait for more." Her breath caught in her throat. How did he get her number? She brushed it off as a glitch, but the unease lingered like a bad aftertaste. Oh, the twists life throws at you. Karen's HOA reign of terror was infamous in the neighborhood. Take Lisa Ramirez, the single mom across the street. Karen had reported her 4 unauthorized flower beds that supposedly violated color codes, leading to a heated confrontation at the last association meeting. "How dare you disrupt the harmony?" Karen had shouted, her voice echoing through the community center like a thunderclap. Lisa stormed out, tears in her eyes, muttering under her breath about that entitled witch. And then there was young couple, the Parkers, whose kid's trampoline earned a cease and desist letter faster than you could say liability. Karen thrived on the power, the control. It made her feel alive amid her stagnant marriage. Tom barely noticed her anymore, buried in spreadsheets. But online, she was desired. The stalking escalated subtly at first, like a storm building on the horizon. Packages arrived at her doorstep, gaming merchandise, a custom mug with Queenslayer etched on it, even a bouquet of roses with a note, "From your loyal Shadowhunter." The floral scent filled the house, clashing with the metallic tang of fear in Karen's mouth. "Who is this guy?" she whispered to herself, pacing the kitchen floorboards that creaked under her weight. Tom dismissed it, probably just a fan. "Honey, block him." But blocking didn't work. New accounts popped up in the game, whispering her real name, Karen, in private chats. Her pulse thundered in her ears during those sessions. The once fun soundtrack of sword clashes now sounding ominous. Like warnings. One rainy afternoon. The downpour drumming against the windows like impatient fingers. Karen spotted an unfamiliar car parked across the street. It sat there for hours. Engine off. Wipers idle. She peered through the blinds. Her breath fogging the glass. Heart hammering. Was that him? Paranoia crept in. Twisting her thoughts. She confronted Lisa about it, after all. Wasn't it her job as HOA president to monitor suspicious activity? Have you seen that car? Karen demanded. Standing on Lisa's porch with rain dripping from her umbrella. Lisa crossed her arms. A smirk playing on her lips. Maybe it's karma. Karen. You poke around in everyone's business, now someone's poking in yours. The word stung like a slap. Leaving Karen fuming as she stomped back home. Mud squelching under her shoes. But wait, here comes the twist that flipped everything upside down. As the messages grew more intense, I know where you live. Queen. Let's meet IRL, Karen dove into detective mode. She reverse-searched the number. Her fingers trembling on the mouse. The trail led to a local IP address. Right in Willow Creek. Gasping. She realized Shadowhunter wasn't some distant gamer, he was Mike Reynolds. The quiet IT guy who lived 3 houses down, the one she'd fined repeatedly for his non-compliant fence height. Mike. Whose wife had left him after Karen's anonymous tip to child services about their neglected yard, which was just overgrown during his divorce. Oh. The irony. Mike had pieced together her identity from her rants about neighbors. Turning the tables in a chilling game of revenge. The air grew thick with tension as Karen's world unraveled. Sleepless nights followed. The house creaking with every gust of wind. Making her jump. Why me? She'd cry into her pillow. The fabric damp with tears. Tom finally noticed. His sighs heavy as he held her. You've made enemies. Karen. Maybe it's time to step down from the HOA. But pride wouldn't let her, instead. She doubled down. Issuing more citations to distract herself. At the next meeting. Voices rose like a cacophony, neighbors shouting about her hypocrisy. You're the real stalker. Spying on us. Mr. Jenkins yelled. His cane thumping the floor for emphasis. The room buzzed with anger. The fluorescent lights humming overhead like angry bees. Then. The climax hit like a lightning bolt. One fateful evening. As dusk painted the sky in bruised purples. Karen heard a knock at the door. Her throat tightened, she peeked through the peephole to see Mike standing there. Disheveled. Holding printed chat logs. You ruined my life. Karen, he bellowed. His voice cracking with raw emotion. Now I'll ruin yours. He lunged forward as she screamed. The sound piercing the quiet street. Neighbors poured out, Lisa. The Parkers. Even Mr. Jenkins, phones in hand. Recording the chaos. Tom burst from the living room. Tackling Mike to the ground with a grunt. The 2 men rolling on the wet grass. Fists flying. Sirens wailed in the distance. Growing louder. A symphony of justice approaching. Police arrived in a flash of red and blue lights. Handcuffing Mike as he ranted about Karen's bullying. But the real shocker? The investigation uncovered Karen's own misdeeds, falsified HOA documents. Embezzled funds for her enforcement tools. Whispers turned to shouts, how could she? The community turned on her. Petitions flying to oust her from the board. Tom. Heartbroken. Filed for divorce. His voice breaking, I can't live with this anymore. Karen sat alone in her once perfect home. The silence deafening. Broken only by her sobs. The scent of wilted roses lingered. A bitter reminder. In the end, Mike faced charges for stalking. His obsession born from pain she'd inflicted. But Karen? She lost everything: her position, her marriage, her reputation. The neighborhood healed without her iron fist, blooming with unapproved flower beds and laughter. What a wild ride. Right? It just goes to show, when you wield power like a weapon, it can swing back and strike you down. Treat others with kindness, folks, or karma might just log in and game over your life. Remember, in the real world, there are no respawns, only consequences that hit hard and fast.